Now entering Nerdist.com.
We're gonna make it. If we try, we're gonna make it. Touch the sky, we're gonna make it. Watch us fly, we're gonna make it. You and I.
Ready?
Are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready to do your podcast.
I feel like I'm forcing you into this.
You are. You've asked me like 9,000 times.
I know. Natasha and I have a few hours before we're doing a show, and I'm like, well, since you're here, I feel like you should be on my podcast.
I really couldn't say no.
No, probably.
Cheers to doing your podcast.
So cheers to Veuve Clicquot. Woo. It's my favorite champagne.
It's really nice. Mm-hmm. I like that you just have bottles of this in your freezer.
Well, I mean, it's in my fridge.
And in your fridge. But every time I've opened up your fridge and I'm over here a lot, you always have stacks of champagne.
It's what I would drink if I...
And then you have like grapes, coffee, and that's it. And then we just order pizza.
Yeah, I have Red Bull.
That's what our problem is. Like, I feel like there's a lot of people out there. Like the idea right now that humans are supposed to be like cooking and serving their own meals 3 times a day for themselves.
I feel like there's such
insane.
good people. Like people who do that. I'm like, I can't believe you have dogs. I don't think I could ever be that good of a person.
That is hard.
It's crazy. Like, and to like cook your food. I don't know how people do it.
But cooking food for yourself every day, like there really should be servants. Like even servants used to have servants. You know,
really?
Like when you watch like Upstairs, Downstairs, like the servants would make a servant's meal and then they'd serve each other. Like,
oh yeah,
the whole idea that we're supposed to be cooking and shopping for our own food and then also shopping for toiletries and
well, the reason that's bad is because we're single and we live alone, and so it monetarily doesn't add up to get all those ingredients and to spend all that time just to cook for yourself. And I don't even eat that much food, so it's like I don't want to buy like 12 ingredients to cook myself something and take 3 bites of it and then be like, okay, well, that took 2 hours.
That's true.
Yeah.
You told me about a place that delivers groceries to your house.
Yummy.com.
Yummy.com.
Yeah, it's great. Oh wait,
but you just had them bring grapes and water and coffee.
Yeah. No, those grapes are old.
So every day at 3:00, we're like, we need sushi or we need something. So then we just like order something really expensive.
Thai food. Yeah.
Not expensive, but more expensive than groceries. Yes.
I have to introduce you.
Oh, sorry.
I always say this. I'm going to pretend like we're just starting, but we're not. So hello, everyone, and welcome to Making It with Ricky Lindholm. My guest today is comedian, actress, writer, friend of mine, Natasha Leggero. Hi.
Hi, how are you?
I had to get that out of the way.
Thank you.
Yeah. Because I guess people might not read the description.
This is very professional.
No, it's not.
You did set this up fast.
I like I like equipment. I like technical stuff.
You're good at that. When we did ours, it took us a long time to set it up.
Really?
Always.
Why? What kind of equipment did you have? Did it look like this?
Who knows? It was always like the levels were wrong. We'd have to start over.
Really?
You just kind of dragged that out of the closet, put on some headphones, and now we're like,
here we go.
P-casting.
Yeah, it sounds good to me. I mean, it only sounds so good because we are in my like echoey apartment, but I'm okay with that. And
who gave you those roses?
Oh, that was from nobody good. That was from a photo shoot. Kate and I did a photo shoot on Saturday where we played kid beauty pageant chicks. And we were I was holding a bunch of roses and she was holding money. They fan out the money and they like smile.
That's cute.
We're going to get the photos like super airbrushed so we look like that. But yeah, but now I have a bunch of roses. Yeah, nobody gave them to me, sadly.
I used to date this guy who sent me roses every week, like every Tuesday.
Really?
And they were like elaborate bouquets.
I love that.
I did too.
Every Tuesday that you dated, it never waned?
I'd say I have like 40 vases.
Wow.
It was pretty impressive. And then when my mom came to visit, he sent her flowers.
Whoa.
And she was like starstruck by that. Mm-hmm. Like she was just struck dumb. Like she wanted me to marry him. Like that's all you have to do is spend $40 and get him a bouquet.
That's true. That's true. I had a boyfriend once who sent flowers to a venue where I was performing, and he sent a bouquet for me and a bouquet for Kate, which felt like, ooh, that's classy. Hers were very like platonic. They were white. You know what I mean? They were
and yours just had like...
Mine were like lovey, and hers were very like classy. Like they looked like office plants. You know what I mean? Like they were like white.
Where yours were like shaped like penises,
right?
And like opening and
exactly.
over like those little balls coming out.
Mine were like red and pink, and
that's cute.
And hers were white, so it was deliberately platonic. But I will say really classy.
I will say we didn't stay together, and the roses always died.
Yeah, the relationship died with the roses. I'm sorry.
No, but they always died like 2 days after they were sent.
They did?
Yeah, because people who send roses, like the roses place, don't ever send people roses. I like just exotic flowers that are a little more hardy.
Did you cut the bottom and put the food in?
Well, no, because what happens is they're cut displays.
Oh, so
you
then
know,
they
so like they look pretty for a day. But one thing I remember when I read House of Mirth, did you ever read that Edith Wharton book?
No, I think I saw the movie.
The man gave her new flowers every day. And you always threw out the old flowers.
Wow.
Every day.
That's nice.
I know.
What is she, like William Morris?
What do you mean?
Like, you know, those places always have, like,
they always have
you know, they always have like fresh flower, or like my salon or something. I'm like, how much money did they spend on flowers?
They probably do it every 3 days.
Yeah, that's pretty nice. Anyway, so where are you from? I know all this, but I'm going to ask you anyway.
Oh, we have to talk about this stuff. I want to say one more thing about flowers.
Okay.
That's why I don't want to do your podcast, because I don't want to talk about my career. Wait, one more thing. I heard this girl on the train once, because this should be entertaining, this podcast, right?
Yes.
Okay, so informative too.
Ideally.
Okay.
It would ideally be entertaining.
So this girl on the train was bawling because of the financial crisis and saying now she has to buy her flowers from the grocery store.
That was her big problem. Oh, poor
They had to
thing.
cancel the flower delivery.
Oh, God, poor cow. I wonder how she's doing. Have you checked up on her? I wonder if she's okay.
Okay, now I'll let you leave.
That's
the
a huge
podcast.
problem. No, it doesn't have to be that tight. I was just going to ask you where you're from. That's all.
I'm from a place called Rockford, Illinois.
Okay. And when did you move here?
I moved here 10 years ago.
Was that before or after Australia?
Australia.
Didn't you move to Australia?
Oh, I was abducted by a con artist when I was 22, but that was just like for 6 months.
Oh, okay. So it was after that.
Yeah.
Then you moved here. You were abducted by a con artist. Was it really, like, was he really that bad?
Yeah. He was bad.
He
was older. He was like a con man, and he like took my money, but I thought I was in love with him, and then we like stole together.
Really?
Well, kind of. Not really.
How did he dupe you? Like, how did he?
He was just like super charming.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Like he would do crazy things. Like we'd go to a restaurant and they'd be like, "I'm sorry, sir, there are no tables." And I'd be like, "Okay." And so I'm like, "I'm going to go call my friend." And then he would be alone with the girl for like 2 minutes. And then as soon as we come back, she'd be blushing and she'd be like, your table, here's your table right here. Like right by the fountain. And he didn't have any money. Like I paid for everything. So I don't know what he was doing or saying, but like he just needed to get alone with someone and he could get whatever he wanted. Like he used to ask the airport if we could upgrade for first class. And we always did.
Really?
He would just ask them.
Was he like a sociopath?
Yes.
Yeah.
He had antisocial personality disorder.
Right.
That's kind of what I figured out after we broke up, after he left me for
Combined with narcissism?
Yeah, I don't know how narcissistic he was. I mean, he was a liar.
What did he leave you? Who did he leave you for?
Well, we were in Australia together for 6 months or maybe a year. I mean, I met him in New York and then I decided to give up my rent controlled apartment and sell all of my things and move to Australia to be with him. I was 22. And I thought he was rich because he told me he was a lawyer. He said he was an intellectual property lawyer. He said he was a book reviewer for the Australian Financial Review.
Sure.
He said he was making a documentary on the information superhighway.
Okay.
Which is called the internet now.
Right.
And
the information super.
And he had just got back from Burning Man.
Wow.
One
of those things.
The first one.
Yeah, one of those things doesn't match with the other ones. And that would be Burning Man.
I know, but Burning Man wasn't big yet, so it was still sort of experimental.
Right.
So I thought he was rich. So when I gave up on my apartment and everything, and I got to his house in Australia, it was like a piece of shit. Like it was like a studio with like an IKEA cow print chair and then like a barrel that like he was using.
Whoa.
And I thought he was like super sophisticated. Like I thought we were gonna go to like literary parties. And as soon as I got there, he's like, "Do you want to watch Seinfeld?"
No, not at all. What the fuck? So what did you think was going to happen there? Did you think you were going to still be acting and stuff?
Well, I was just taking a little break because I was like, I wasn't really acting. I was just going to school. So I was like, okay, I'll finish my school there. So I came with all this money, which he ended up taking.
Wow.
Because I was going to go to university there.
Oh, and how did he take your money?
I gave it to him. For us to live on.
Wow. So he didn't take it necessarily. There's no thievery. Just wow. I have to say though, and I don't mean this is a bad thing, I think you are more impressionable than I would have gathered from your onstage persona.
I was 22.
Yeah, but even now.
You think I'm impressionable?
More than I would have thought. Because
Really?
on stage you seem just so like, this is this and that is that and this, and you're actually kind of, you'll listen to people and change your mind and, not impressionable.
I have
but
an open mind.
That's what it is. And
I'm intelligent.
I know that.
I'm just saying, but that's usually like the smarter people usually have open minds, don't you think?
Yes. Well, yeah.
But impressionable, that's something different. That almost sounds like you think I could get taken advantage of again.
Not like that. But I wonder.
Definitely not like that.
No. I wonder though. Not like that. No, now I'm saying things that I don't mean because I don't think that you're
I know what you're saying.
Impressionable. I think you are more optimistic than I am, which I would not have guessed. I think I'm more suspicious of people's motives. And I just think I'm just more suspicious than you.
Yeah, I'm kind of optimistic.
Yeah.
I believe in hope.
Yeah. The truth is probably somewhere in between, but I
like the truth.
Yeah.
Truth is hard to figure out though.
That's true.
And the truth changes.
Does it?
And I think my truth is different than your truth.
Mm-hmm. But there's like truth.
What's truth?
I feel like this is not going well. This conversation is not going in the right direction. And I'm saying things that aren't real. So that's not good. So I'm probably going to delete that part of it.
I like it.
Yeah.
It's very intuitive.
What, truth?
No, just the podcast. Yeah. That's why people like them.
Yeah, because they're just
like stream of consciousness, but you're kind of the best version of yourself because there's a microphone on and you know that people could be listening. So you're kind of you're not checking your phone.
Right. So when did you leave Australia? Like, how did you get out of that? What the fuck is that? Like, how did that happen?
It was bad.
Did you have money to leave?
I asked my mom for a plane ticket home and then I told her it cost $2,000, but it only cost like $800. And then I took that money and took us on a vacation. Well, because he was like, I'm not going back to New York without a vacation. And so
so he demanded a vacation?
Yeah. So we went to Thailand.
Whoa.
With my mom's money. And then I was under.
This guy sounds like a piece of shit.
He was. Well, first of all, what kind of 42-year-old goes out with a 22-year-old?
Yeah.
And so he was like, Wiener, he called me Wiener. He was like, Wiener, we are going on vacation.
Wiener?
Because I was small.
Oh.
So he's like, okay, we're going to go to the Lakes District in England.
Ooh, I like that.
And then we're going to go, we went to Koh Samui.
Wow.
In Thailand. And then we got back to New York. And then we stayed with this girl, Denisha, who I waitressed with. Her, like, she's this Latino girl. Like, we stayed with her grandma in Queens in like a room.
Whoa.
And then...
How did you get rid of this guy?
He left me for a girl in Brooklyn with an inheritance.
Whoa. He's just like a gold digger.
Yeah. And he would always say to me, like, I've never been in love. I've never been in love until I met you. And then one of his friends told me, like, that's the line he used on that girl.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Ew, what a jackass. What is he doing now? Have you ever Googled him to see?
He's not online.
Oh.
I mean,
that's weird.
I've tried to find him, but not people who aren't, he wasn't in the entertainment industry. So, right. I mean, I don't think everyone's has an online profile, do they? I mean,
a lot of people are on Facebook and Twitter and stuff and have, like friends post pictures with him in it or something,
Oh, but I met this girl when I was in Australia who he had, I guess, it's such a long story.
But I kind of love this story, though.
Basically, I wasn't allowed to answer the phone, and he brought me there, and he'd leave all the time. And he's like, "Don't answer the phone. I haven't told people about you yet." And I was like, "What?" Like it would make me so. That's what I didn't understand.
And what were you doing all day? Were you just sitting at home?
I had to get a job at a cafe. I got a job at a brothel answering phones.
What? What the fuck? Is prostitution legal there?
Yeah.
And so you would just answer phones?
I did it like twice. It was so scary. I didn't want to do that again.
Whoa. But people
it was like
people like call and ask for a blowjob? Like try to schedule one or something?
And the girl training me would be like, hello, hold on. We got a Harry Mary online too.
What's that?
Like some guy who wants he's like, can I get a hairy pussy? Probably. I don't know. It was like not, and then I had to, when they made me fold the towels, I was like, okay, I'm leaving.
That's disgusting.
But so I would work and then I would give us money. And then
what did he do all day?
I realized really quickly he didn't have a job. See, I thought he had a job. And then one day I saw him reading the want ads. And I was like, why are you reading the want ads when you're a lawyer and you do book reviews?
Right.
And you're in demand.
Yeah.
And he was like, he would just get mad at me. We would fight all the time. But we would fight about things like, I used the wrong knife to butter the bread. Like, it would throw him into a rage.
He sounds psychotic.
He was.
It sounds like you were, it sounds like you had Stockholm syndrome.
I did a little bit, yes.
Yeah.
And he would say things like I would bring him his coffee in the morning and he'd be like, how can you expect me to look at that much liquid this early in the morning? Because like
You're welcome. Just don't fucking drink it. Jesus.
I filled it up too high.
How can you expect me to look at that much liquid?
Yeah, like he was weird and crazy, but I was in love with him.
Picture you with someone like that now. I can't
was
even
so
like
open, but it ruined me.
it, yeah.
It ruined me because I was like when he came to New York, I was so excited. I went to the deli and I bought like every flower they had in the whole like I was just like so open to for love. Like I was just like so in love with him. Like that I was willing to like lose my life.
Wow.
And so it was just bad.
And then he just left you out of nowhere for someone with money.
Well, so what happened was when I got to Australia, I wasn't allowed to answer the phone, and I knew something was weird was happening. And so, and sometimes he would go at night and like come back like he had a bottle of wine with somebody.
And you were just there?
Yes, I was there, and guess what I was doing?
What?
Digging through his shit. So I would like.
Did you find anything?
Yeah.
Oh.
I went through his. Because I like as soon as he'd leave, like the second he left, because I was like I needed to figure out what was happening.
Yeah,
and I didn't know what was happening.
Yeah.
So the second he left, I'd like jimmy open like I'd like there was this Halliburton suitcase that was up, and I jimmied it open.
Oh my God! What if he was a spy?
I wish.
Yeah.
And he had given me all these jewels, but then I found out they were fake. But then so I jimmy opened this thing, and he had always said his dad was a ship's doctor. And he was always old money. He was all about old money. Like he would always wear like Oxford stripe jacket from his father's schooling. And he was super pretentious.
Yeah.
But then when I jimmied open his Halliburton suitcase, it was, I found his birth certificate, and said his dad was an electroplater.
What's that?
That's like a factory job where you dip like you just dip hubcaps into metal or something. Like it's like the lowest lowest status.
But like,
job
why would he
you
lie
have.
about that? It's not like it's
Probably
not like
so he could fuck a 22-year-old for 2 years or a year.
whoa. But like, Jesus.
Oh, so here's what happened. So he's like, you can't leave the house.
What?
Or no, I mean, he didn't say you can't leave the house, but I didn't know anybody, and he would go. And so one time he left, and I was like, something is wrong. You know, like you can feel things.
You can feel it in your body.
Mm-hmm. So I got on the floor, and I was like, please God, give me a sign. I need a sign. I don't know what's happening in my life. I was like changing my hair color every day, like because he said he used to work with Aboriginals, so he gave them haircuts. So he like gave me a haircut, and I was basically in a cult.
Yeah.
So then I got on the floor, and I was like, please God, give me a sign. And then all of a sudden the phone rang, and I was like, hello. And I was like, I'm gonna answer it. I don't care. So I was like, hello, and he's like, Wiener, I need you to put your university money in the mailbox. And I was like, what? Why? What are you doing? He's like, I can't tell you right now, but you just need to put it in the mailbox. And I was like, I'll bring it, because I still had $1,200. And I was like, I'll bring it down there, but I want to see what's happening.
Yeah.
And so, and
Put
he's
your
like,
university money in the mailbox? What about the university?
So I went down there, and this girl comes to meet me with a receipt book. She's bawling. She's got long black hair. Her name's Lucy. And she's like, he's a criminal. And I was like, Lucy, he's told me about you. I heard that he was helping you see a psychiatrist because you're having a hard time. And he's like, is that what he told you? And I was like, yeah. And she's like, he got me. He just went to take me to get an abortion. So he basically was fucking this other girl.
And used your school money to get her an abortion. Holy shit.
Well, I don't know. No, I think I think he had, abortions aren't that expensive, I don't think. But I think, and this
How
was
much
also
are
like,
they?
I think they're like $400. That's because I've been asking people that. I've never had one. But this was 14 years ago in Australia, so who knows?
Yeah.
But I think that she had lent him some money. So basically, I found out he was fucking this other girl. He had this other older woman who was paying for everything. That's who he didn't want to answer the phone. And then, but basically, I still was like, okay, I understand that he's like this, but I still want to be with him.
Wow.
And that's when we got my mom's money and went to the Lakes District for vacation.
Was he just amazing in bed or something?
We had good sex. I think I remember. Yeah, he was funny. He was very interesting. That's my problem. I like people. It's not a problem, but I like fascinating characters.
Right, and that can blind you to other.
But I will tell you something. It's very funny that we're talking about this on your podcast.
Why?
Because I feel like that's where I kind of stole my stand-up persona from.
Ooh, I like that.
Because he would always pretend that we were like rich when we weren't. Like we would be on a bus And he would get on the bus and like flip his scarf and be like, driver, where is this bus going? And the driver and like no one liked him because he just had this like attitude that was like very.
You have to pay for things to have that attitude.
Yes, and you can't have it on a bus.
Right, you have to have a driver.
Yes, and so we're on the bus and he's like, "Where is this bus going?" And I remember once the driver was like, "It says on the top, right there, Bondi Beach." And then Alex would say, "Are you assuming, sir, that I can read?" Like he would say stuff like that.
Oh my God.
He was very fun, but he wasn't trying to be funny. And then I remember one time we were on the bus and a homeless person started coughing and he just like stood up and demanded that the bus stop. He's like, "My wife and I are getting off. This is disgusting." And then people were like, strangers would come up to me and be like, "Are you okay?"
Whoa.
Because they would see me with him.
And they would somehow sense that something was wrong.
Yeah.
It's weird when you can sense something's wrong with other people in your body. It's because it's one thing to know in your own body that like something's wrong, but it's crazy when you look at someone else and go, I think that person's in trouble. So the fact that other people could see it was a big deal.
But honestly, I was fine. I mean, it was not terrible. Like he was a gourmet cook.
Right.
That was one good thing about him. And he would just make these amazing meals every night. Homemade, like.
But you certainly weren't on your path. He certainly took you for a big old detour.
Hell no. And like he would do things like we'd be at the grocery store and I'd see him slipping potatoes into his pocket. And I'm like, you can't steal.
Yeah.
And
potatoes are like 15 cents.
I know.
Steal
We had no
expensive.
money. We had no money.
Steal condoms or something.
It was a mess.
I don't know what's expensive.
But he was extremely entertaining.
Wow.
And so I did, like, if we had to go somewhere, like I'd make my wages for the day. Oh, first of all, he'd come in and watch me waitress and just sit there and stare at me. And I was like, okay, the owner says you have to go.
Yeah.
Then we'd take my money and let's say I made $40. Mm-hmm. He'd be like, okay, let's go on a picnic. And we'd go spend the whole $40.
What about like taxes and stuff?
What about rent?
Yeah.
And we didn't, but he was always like, oh, don't worry about that. And so then we go like canoeing with like, ham and cheese and champagne. And then the next day have to start all over again.
I can't even picture you in this scenario. I can't even. It's weird how like, I feel like, at least for me, and it sounds like for you, like my logic, my brain was not fully formed when I was that age. It took me a while to like come into my own.
That's why I was doing it. I wasn't fully formed.
Yeah.
I was like, I mean, in some ways I was. I knew I wanted to be an actress. Like I was a child actress. So like that was my goal for my whole life. But I was in New York when this happened. And as most people probably know, New York is a little bit of a scam.
Yeah.
And there's no work there. And, it's expensive to live there. And you kind of think that's where the acting entertainment industry is. And it's not. And, Equity does these open calls. But, it's not like you'll ever get a part in that. And, so I was just kind of at a place where nothing was happening. So I didn't really know what to do. And I wasn't ready to go to LA. So when I met him, I was just like, and I had been dating a lot of like college type guys, like, people who like don't know how to order wine. Like,
sure.
I wanted someone sophisticated, like like someone with dash.
And he was faux sophisticated. There's got to be a word for that.
He was sophisticated, but he was
sophisticated.
He was sophisticated. Sophisticated.
Sounds like it.
He was sophisticated. But he was also real sophisticated, but he was also psychotic.
Yeah. He sounds like a terrible guy.
He was. My mom kind of liked him, though. He was charming.
Because of the flowers. Or no, that was a different one.
That was a different guy.
Wait, I'm going to turn my air conditioning on. Hang on one second. Why did I say that? Yeah. Wow, that is fucking crazy. So what did you take away from that? You had no money. You were in someone's apartment in Brooklyn when he left. And then what did you do?
I learned to never love again.
I understand that.
That's kind of how it felt. Like it was definitely like I gave myself over to the beast, the energy, whatever it is that is love. Like I was like, I am going to iron his shirts and I'm going to serve this relationship and this man because I don't know what else to do because I'm like so bananas over this person.
Yeah, I've been there. It's terrible.
But then the more I read about like, I think that's what you're supposed to do.
Really?
Give yourself over.
Yeah, but there's got to be like a combo because it can't be to someone that does that crazy.
I know. Well, that's the thing. I think you eat with each relationship, you get a better and better person, and then you figure out who you're more selective about who you give it over to. That's the thing. Anyone who was over 22 would have seen this guy, seen that it was not real.
Right.
But I was so young, and I believed everything he said, that I gave myself over to like someone evil.
And you didn't have anyone in your life being like, hey, I'm coming to get you.
Well, my friends, I'm very willful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like when I wanted to move to New York, my mom was like, no. And I was like, yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And I want to go to London. My mom's like, no. I'm like, yeah, that's what I'm doing. So it's like, I was a bad child. Like I always did what I wanted.
Really?
Yeah. Like my mom would be like, you're grounded. I'd be like, okay. And I'd like sneak out my window.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
My mom was like strict, or she'd be like, don't have anyone over. And the second she left, I'd like call 10 people and they'd all come over. Wow. And then she'd come home and I'd get in trouble and I'd just be grounded for a week. Like I was just bad. So you can't really tell me like not to go to Australia if I'm like got it in my
head. If you're
head.
you're gonna go.
Yeah.
I was so good.
Your parents were cool though.
Yeah.
And they were together, so they had like probably more authority. Like my mom was by herself.
Yeah, the two, they were always a united front. You could never manipulate one of them. They'd be like, well, what did your mom say? And you're like, oh.
See, now
no.
if I ever have a child, that's what I want to be, I think. Have a united front. I think that's pretty cool.
I mean, that would be ideal.
Yeah.
Except everyone gets divorced nowadays.
Yeah, but maybe that was our parents, but maybe now the new thing is to get married later and to have babies later, and then you already have like discovered your life. Well, like my mom right now is just discovering like books and like self-help stuff that I read when I was like 20.
Really?
Yeah, but like at 50 or at 60.
Yeah.
Because her life was like all about like that used to be the trajectory. You'd like basically graduate from college, if even, and then just like the first guy you date ends up being the father of you start fathering children, or like giving birth to children from this man that you just went on like 3 dates with. Right. That's what I mean. Like that's why everyone got divorced. But maybe now things aren't going to be as divorce heavy because we're putting a lot more thought into who we're being with.
Yeah.
I mean, what if I had 3 kids with that retard from Australia?
Oh my God. You'd be dealing with him forever. He'd be stealing your money. He'd be stealing your money right now. He'd be tithing your wages.
I mean, now people think about things.
Could you imagine if he got half of all your stand-up gig money? Because he still probably doesn't have a job.
Oh, I'm sure he doesn't.
Half of the money would go to him.
That is just the worst.
Even that thought. So did you move to LA after that? After the breakup?
I think I recovered in New York for like 3 or 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then,
did it take that long? Wow.
No, it didn't take that long, but I think I was like, I just remember I went back home and I just remember like crying a lot in Rockford. I was pretty shaken up by that.
Well, I remember you saying that like, talking about getting your spark back, and when you lose your spark, like getting your spark back. So maybe your spark was kind of gone for a while.
Yeah, I feel like it comes and goes. Do you feel that way?
Yes.
Do you feel like I'm not talking about like some days it's on, some days it's off. I'm saying like some
years
it's off.
2011, mine was definitely non-existent. And then just in the last few months have I felt like, okay, all right, I'm getting my spark back, like slowly. But like, it's been like, a good 18 months of sparklessness in my mind.
Yeah, it's interesting. Mm-hmm. I felt it too.
And then you just had to like get your energy back. And
yeah.
What were you doing in the meantime?
In Australia? Wait, after Australia?
Yeah.
Oh, so then I pretended like I was going on auditions. I was like living in Harlem, and I'd have to pack my tennis shoes to get to the subway because it was so dangerous. So I'd have to like put on my tennis shoes and then like run.
In case you needed to run?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Like, well, because it was just kind of it was like I was on 138th Street,
mm-hmm.
and it was a long walk to the subway, and I just had it because at night when I was going to be on my way home, I would need to run because it was just because I don't know, I was kind of scared.
That's so scary. Yeah.
Because it was like right in the middle of Harlem, and it was.
What were you doing for money? Were you waitressing? Cocktail waitressing?
Cocktailing.
Because you opened that champagne like a champ. I'm so scared. I am so aware of my mortality every time I open champagne. I'm like, this could just go in my eye and end things. I get really scared.
No, I cocktail waitressed and then just worked in restaurants and, just like shitty jobs, like 40, 50 hours a week.
Wait, how old were you when you started doing stand-up?
26.
What made you do that? You just were like sick of auditioning and stuff? Or?
Well, what happened to me, so I left New York. I was like, okay, this place, nothing's so finally I got rid of all these I had weird roommates. I had this roommate woman who was in love with me. She was like some weird closet lesbian.
Just like one thing holding you back after the other.
Yeah. And then, so then finally I'm like, I need to live alone. So then that's when I had to live in Harlem. So then I'm like living alone in a windowless, or it had like one window that faced a brick wall. And I tried to make it so nice too. I had painted it all pink and like did shabby chic and had like chandeliers, and it still was like a hunk of shit. So I'm living in this shit apartment with like no windows. It's always dark. I remember once I got a piano delivered and they couldn't get it up the steps. So by the time it got in my apartment, it was like all just like pieces.
Oh my God.
So then I had this broken piano.
Holy shit.
In a dark studio, windowless room with a broken piano on the floor with some crazy neighbors all around me, like people who'd been living in this building for like 20 years, like just
Jesus.
weird single women. And so I'm living there and I'm just like, and then 9/11 happened.
Oh, great.
I think I moved before 9/11, but I was like,
just
this
like shitty stuff. I was so poor when I lived in San Francisco.
This cannot be life.
Yeah. I was so poor when I lived in San Francisco that when I got there, like I couldn't find an apartment. And my parents got me a hotel room for like 3 days. And then I was
You lived in San Francisco?
Yeah. Cause I was super depressed. I told you I suffered from depression in college.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, I know I don't have any energy or anything inside me to go to LA. I wanted to be an actress, but I didn't have it. Like it was like, were you saying like you didn't have your spark? Like I didn't have my mental health. So I went to San Francisco as sort of like a in-between stop for no reason. I just went there. And then I was so poor that I walked around looking for apartments, couldn't find one. And I lived in an old person's residence facility because I saw there was a room and I was like, oh my God. And I was in the Tenderloin, which is as nice as it sounds. And then I just kind of walked in and I'm like, do you have a room? Like, do you have age restrictions? And they were like, no. And so I rented a room there and there was red carpet on the walls and ceiling and floor. Oh. It was the worst. It was so bad. And then I ended up moving and I rented out someone's closet. It was like an 8x10 kind of walk-in closet, but it was big enough for a bed. And that was my room and had one window facing the brick wall.
How long did you live there?
Like, probably 4 months at the residence facility and then maybe like 6 months in the closet. And then
what did you do in San Francisco?
I had like 3 jobs. I was like in a weird lost place. I had like 3 jobs and was just like, I feel like something's wrong with me. And then I finally, went to a therapist and got on medication and got better and moved to LA. So
interesting. Were you thinking you were going to act in San Francisco?
Yeah, I thought, because they have some acting there. I was like, I'll get my SAG card and my headshots and get
you and I
my
are
ducks
similar.
in a row. And
you and I are similar that we both like knew from a childhood we were going to be actors.
Yes,
right. Like you were like that too.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So that was always my goal. So
I was like 6, and I was like envious of the girls on commercials, like in Barbie commercials. I'm like, I want to do that. Yeah.
I know, and I that was a big turning point for me when I was in New York. Someone asked me, they're like. Because I was like, well, I'm an actress. I'm going to be an actress. And they're like, what do you want to act in? And I was like, no, never thought of that. I was like, soap operas? I don't know. Like, I didn't have any focus. I just knew I wanted to be an actress. Like, I just knew that was what I wanted, how I wanted to express myself. But I didn't know what it was going to be. So basically, then I left New York and came here. And I saw this girl do stand-up who had gone to Juilliard, but she had also gone to my acting conservatory, because I went to acting conservatory in New York. And I was like, oh, you can just like talk about how lame people are here. Like I didn't know, like I didn't even know any stand-up comedians. I didn't know who anyone was. Like I didn't know who Sarah Silverman was. And I mean, I just thought I knew who Rodney Dangerfield was. Like I was like, oh, you have to like wear
there's like 4 comedians.
Yeah, like you have to wear a suit and talk about your wife.
Right.
And then when this girl was just like talking about her day, and I knew her, so I was like, oh, like I never thought she was particularly funny, but she was like funny just talking about her day and concentrating it, focusing on certain things. So I was like, oh, I should just try that.
Really?
And I tried it, and it was the first time I was on stage was like the best show I ever had. Still.
Really?
Yes.
What did you talk about? Do you remember?
I had this joke about when you call Verizon and they're like, you ask them a question and they're like, what happened? And I was like, What do you mean what happened? What happened is I asked you a question. Like I had like a lot of like semantics, like things that were really annoying to me about, and also like, you know, I was really poor at the time. So like customer service and any sort of bureaucracy like get me so upset.
Would you like more champagne?
I'm good right now.
Okay.
But yeah, so then I just did it, and I still have not. Well, because the reason why the show was so good is because I didn't think people would laugh.
Right.
So then when they started laughing, I was like,
oh, right.
It was the feeling was like so amazing. Like, well, also I had taken my hairdresser had given me like a Xanax, and then I had Xanax and a glass of wine too. So maybe that kind of like was affecting the visceral feeling. But all I remember feeling was like waves. Like it felt like when people laughed, it felt like an ocean. Like it just felt like these like waves were coming over my body, and like with each joke, I just couldn't even like understand. I mean, by the way, I'm sure it was like a really good crowd. It was like a bringer type show, so it was full of people's friends.
People were like,
so it's not like I just like went up on a show and it's just like, oh, that's the next Louis C.K. Mm-hmm. But it was just
we killed the first time we played a comedy club too, and it was like that thing where, like, I mean, we've had good shows since, but that was like, whoa. And then like the next like 4 or 5 shows we're just like and we're like, oh
yeah, my next one was and I was so cocky because I was like I had done so well, so my next one I was like had it in my head, I was like, I'm gonna be like, thank you, good night, I'll be at the Melrose Improv October 30th. Like I just thought it was gonna be like this crazy, and I like bombed, and it was just terrible.
You're like, oh, so this is the actually hard. Yeah,
I remember coming home and like wanting to cry after that second performance, and like just like laying on my bed and just being like, this is going to take a long time. But I knew I had to keep doing it because of the first one.
Yeah.
So I think it's like
you had that hope.
Yeah. Like
you knew it could get good.
Yeah. And I think that the people I talked to, it's like you either killed your first time or it went terrible.
Yeah. There's not too many people like, it was all right.
I think a lot of comedians have it that it went really well though.
I think so too. Because then they can go back to that feeling and go, I know I can do it.
Well, yeah, that's what a gift, because if that wouldn't have happened, I would have never gone back.
No.
Because I didn't even want to do it to begin with.
Yeah. No, the first time we ever played at a comedy club, it was the Laugh Factory, and we got on the show because Tom Arnold thought we were John Oates and Art Garfunkel. Yeah, like because he was like, yeah, that sounds interesting, Garfunkel, and yeah, let's see what they do, you know. And it was us, and we went between Ron White and Stephen Wright. The first time we ever played a show.
How much had you practiced your stuff?
We practiced like
you had like 3 songs you were ready to go.
Right.
Okay.
We were ready to go, but like, yeah, we went after Stephen Wright the very first time we ever played a comedy club. And it was like prime time Friday night, and Ron White went after us, and it was like, and we like killed.
That's awesome.
We just like murdered. We're like, this is gonna be so easy. And then it was like after that for 2 years or so.
I don't think people understand how much work it takes. Like I had a book that I would like write in, and I would make myself, I was like, okay, I'm going to go up at least 20 times a month or 25 times a month. Mm-hmm. So
that's what we did. We would go up around 25 times a month when we started.
Yeah. Like, and I would log it. Like for at least 2 years, I logged every show and like tallied them up and made sure that I was like getting the numbers. And I feel like there is something now, I think a lot of people don't really want to work that hard.
Yeah. Well,
stand-ups work hard.
Yeah, they do. I think we had a thing where we had our first comedy club show and we thought, oh, we're amazing. This is easy. Let's just we're just going to ride this all the way to the top. And then we had our second, third, fourth, fifth, and we're like, oh, okay, we have a lot of work to do. We don't know what to do when someone says something, or what if someone's talking, or what if, we don't have any skill. We had one great lucky thing, and then we realized we had to build our skill, and we would do shows anywhere. I'm sure you did too, like downtown or just anywhere.
Yeah, and I also like dated comics, and that really helped. Like I dated this one guy, I won't say who it is, but he was very disciplined, and I think that really inspired me, because I was like, oh, you have to be really disciplined, and just being around all those types of people who are disciplined. And I remember he had this thing on his wall that said, you're not good until you bomb 100 times. And he had the marks off. So every time he bombed, so he had the squares, 100 squares, and like 40 of them were checked. So he was just trying to get 60 more squares. So like, I just feel like
was he a good comic?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just feel like, just being around, I got so lucky just being around that, because then it's like, oh, it was so instructive. Like,
I feel like most female comedians date other comedians.
I just like to be around people who I want to be around, and that's usually people who are entertaining and funny.
And then they happen to be cute, and then
yeah, I'm not just going to date any comedian.
yeah. Well, I wasn't.
I mean,
saying that.
also I'll date like other people, but I generally like can only date people who are funny. Because that's what I don't understand. Like people who don't date people who are funny, who are comedians, like they say I get to be funny with my friends. But like I just feel like when I'm in a relationship, you know, when you have intimacy with someone, you start to spend a lot of time with them, and you want to have it be like it is when you're having fun.
Yeah, I mostly date people who are funny, just not professionally. I don't really date.
That's fine.
Yeah.
That's all I mean.
Yeah, I don't really
Like I don't want to get all serious and like not have someone get my jokes.
I've never had a boyfriend who wasn't funny. I've gone on dates with people who weren't, but I've never been in a relationship with someone who was not funny.
You know what's funny? I feel like I've had a few boyfriends who are funny, but they don't realize they're funny. Mm-hmm. That's kind of funny too.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Because then it's like they're kind of crazy and weird.
And entertaining and interesting.
Yeah, but like that's more of like I'm laughing at you.
I can't see you
But I
dating
can get
anyone
with
who's
that.
dull.
No, I like Dash.
Yeah.
I figured that out the other day. That's the main quality.
Wait, I was dating someone and you summed them up with one word. Do you remember what you called the person that I was dating? Yeah. You called him a dud.
Oh yeah, I don't like duds.
Yeah, I was like a dud. It's so hilarious and dismissive.
It's a good word.
Yeah, it's a really great word. But you called someone I was dating a dud, and then another girlfriend of mine also called him a dud. And I was like,
do I date duds?
I was like, is that real? Like, yeah. So that was
I mean,
interesting.
I like all types. I can't say it has to be a comedian, but
Maybe I should date a comedian. Maybe I should dip into that pool and just like see what happens.
I mean, it doesn't have to be like a stand-up. Like I dated this guy who was an improviser, and he was like so funny, and we always just had a blast. Like I guess part of me, like for relationships, I want to like be like having a hoot.
Yeah.
I don't want to just be like watching Desperate Housewives, or what's that thing that people like?
What's that thing that people like?
Not
I don't know.
Desperate
Sports?
Housewives.
I don't know. Like Gossip Girl? I have no idea what you're talking
Real
about.
Housewives.
Real
I mean.
Oh, okay. Like, I don't know. What do people watch? I have no idea.
Definitely not sports.
No. Oh my gosh. I hate sports. I don't understand them.
I don't either.
Like,
why do you want to watch men exercise?
I know. That's how I feel. Yeah. Kate and I wrote a sports anthem recently called Sports Go Sports.
And what, you make fun of them? People are not on board though. People get your fans though are more musical theater people, so they actually might be on board. Because I feel like if there is a population of people who don't like sports, it's usually musical theater people.
It's Garfunkel and Oates fans.
Yeah, well,
I don't think it's the same.
Because I've been trying to talk shit about sports, and like no, like I love when you check in somewhere and people are like, "Oh, L.A." Oh, see, or like, where are you from? Illinois. Oh, so I guess you're gonna be pretty mad that I don't like the Cubs. I'm like, I don't fucking give a shit what you like.
No, yeah.
Don't talk to me about that.
Yeah. People always go, they say, where are you from? I'm like, Buffalo. They go, Bills fan, huh?
I know.
And I'm like, what are you, like, no, I don't care either way. I have no idea how many games they've won or what their person is that's their quarterback. I don't have any clue. I've never watched a Bills game, so no.
It's so stupid.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, no one ever like hung themselves off a telephone wire because of the opera.
Right. The ballet. Yeah, we in the bridge of the song it says watching able-bodied millionaires play with each other, and watching less agile millionaires talk about it on TV.
It's sad.
That's what it seems like.
I think sports, that is exactly right, and I think it's holding us back
Holding us back
from evolving.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I don't think so. I think it's just like, you know, an escape and a relaxation, but it just doesn't relax me and it doesn't make me escape to anywhere.
How about when you walk into like a nice restaurant and they have a TV screen with like football playing at the bar?
What? Why would that happen?
You don't see that?
No.
You don't walk into nice restaurants and they have TVs with sports?
No. Not nice restaurants.
Nice restaurants.
Really?
All the time.
Not really ones that I can't remember.
When we went to Magnolia today, that was usually it's like that level of restaurant.
Oh, I thought you meant like super fans, you know.
Like Blair's doesn't have TVs, but
Right.
I feel like I mean, like the Algonquin, like the restaurant in New York, that's like this old like 1920s, like they've got sports. You don't see TV in restaurants.
Not in super fancy ones. Maybe I'm just ignorant of it.
Maybe you just go to nicer restaurants than.
I do have a thing for restaurants. I do spend inordinate amounts of my money on food.
That's because we don't buy groceries.
Yeah, but I'm kind of obsessed with food, and I spend way too much money on eating good food. I wanted us to
important.
write at Katsuya today. I'm like, we should go there.
I know, you're like Magnolia. I thought it was going to be like some like crappy cafe, and it's
No,
like
it's
this like
so
fancy
good.
restaurant.
Yeah, it's like delicious gourmet salads with,
It was worth it.
toasted pecans and, yeah, delicious. I love Magnolia. So when did you move to LA when you were 26?
Yeah, I moved here and I kind of like did nothing for 2 years. Had a bunch of boyfriends. I remember I had a boyfriend. I would start cheating. Like I had like 3 boyfriends at one point, and I didn't tell any of them. Like I was like just like living weird and bad. The point is, I didn't do anything for like a year. And I was trying to get an agent, and just like the regular stuff. And then when I saw this girl do stand up, I was like, and actually, I think it was with that guy, the loser. I dated this guy on food stamps. Oh, it was a mess.
Mm-mm.
But so
was he a comedian?
No.
Oh.
No. Well, I didn't know about comedians then. But he was funny. So I've always dated people who are funny.
Yeah.
Like musicians, I used to be really into musicians when I was young.
Really? I've never been into musicians or athletes. I know that's a big thing with a lot of girls. Like a lot of girls like musicians. I've never been into either one of those.
Well, I'm not into musicians anymore because they're just a little too serious for me.
Yeah. And I don't like watching people play songs all the time.
Yeah. And
Which would be a weird part about dating me. It's ironic, but I don't want to go to people's concerts.
Yeah, I know. Unless they're really good. But the problem with
Even
musicians
then.
is they're like super emotional and heavy, and they're always like in their head, and they're always like they don't want to listen to any other music, but like they hate music, but they play music. Like it's always like I've just dated like they always seem like they're like borderline head cases.
Really?
Yeah, and like I just want to like relax and have fun and laugh. I mean, I liked it when I was younger.
Right. I don't like going to any concert. I went to Radiohead when we were at Bonnaroo with Pete Holmes and Joe DeRosa, and I had a meltdown like 10 minutes in, and I like ran out of there.
Really?
Yeah. I just kept trying to leave, and there was no exits because there was like 80,000 people there, and we were right near the front, and it was so loud.
Ugh.
And Bart Coleman was there with us, and he was like, "Oh, I heard the concert's going to be 2 hours." And I was like, I can't do it. I cannot do it.
I know.
It all sounded the same to me.
I can do live music like once a year.
Mm-hmm. It just sounded the same to me. It just sounded like, and I didn't know how people knew when the songs were ending or beginning. And then like, I was playing solitaire on my phone to disassociate from where I was, and then my phone died, and I out loud went, "I just want to leave." And these 2 girls were walking by me, and they were like, "Do you want to leave? Because we're getting out of here. We know how to get out." And I was like, "Yeah." And like one girl grabbed my hand, and the other girl grabbed my other hand, and they got me out of there. They worked at Bonnaroo.
Weird. So that's how much you hate live music.
I just don't like it. I just don't want to be there. It's weird because I play live music, but I don't know. I don't like concerts.
Do you like music?
It's all right.
You're not that into
I
music.
like musicals. I like the pop songs that Kate plays for me. I was playing you some of them. They're good.
Very mainstream.
Yeah. I like those songs. But I don't
Like
seek it
Katy
out.
Perry and stuff.
Sure, yeah. I don't seek it out. I don't listen to bands.
You don't like have Pandora on and stuff.
No.
I don't understand. Like someone just turned me on to Spotify.
Mm-hmm.
I do not understand how music is just free. And like you can go on YouTube and just get whole albums. People have just uploaded an entire album.
But I feel like I've gotten checks from Spotify.
Oh, you have?
Yeah. I don't think it's free. I think I've gotten checks from both of those places. I mean, it's not for a lot. But
Oh, well, that's good.
yeah, I'm pretty sure I've gotten checks from Spotify and Pandora.
I'd like to know why I'm not getting any checks.
Because people don't listen to jokes on
Pandora, yes, they do.
They listen to like little bits of.
People tweet me all the time that they heard me on Pandora.
Really?
All the time. That's how people find out about you. A lot of times.
I just don't know why someone would want to listen to like one joke and then it would flip to another joke.
I put Bill Burr into Pandora. It's excellent.
Really?
Yeah, it'll be like Bill Burr, Louis C.K., Hannibal. It's like a great. You can, and it's just bits. So
I just didn't know that was a thing. I didn't know you could do that without. I just thought it was for songs.
No, it's for anything.
Oh, you should look into getting some royalties.
I know.
It's for very little.
I know.
It's like if you smoked, you could get a pack of cigarettes. That would be it. You know.
Well, the point is, I'm sick of musicians.
Yeah.
They're just like they're not intellectual enough. They're emotional, which is nice because I'm not.
You're not?
Not really.
Oh.
I mean, I am, but like I told you about my stories.
I'm way too emotional. I mean, I was crying right before the podcast. I was just was telling you something and I burst into tears.
That's why you're such a good actress, though.
I cried right before our show on Thursday. I had a total crying meltdown. My oldest friend walked in to the dressing room and just goes, "How are you?" And I'd had like a rough week and I just started bawling.
Before the show?
Yeah, it was like our show was at 8:30. This was like at 8:10. He walks in the dressing room and he's like, How are you? And I just lost it crying. I just had a hard week and it was just like a horrible, humiliating week. Like just one of those like terrible actress weeks where you're like, I can't believe this is happening to me. And and I just had like a total crying meltdown and I was like hot and he went and got me ice.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, but no, so I'm slightly emotional.
I wish I was more. I think it's important to be able to access your emotions.
Really? I feel like mine are way too on the surface though. I feel like I can't even keep them down.
I have to pee.
Oh, okay. Pause. So I have a question that I'm curious about. Yeah. How long do you think it was before you found your persona in stand-up?
Well, I think that, like I told you, it all kind of comes from, it's like you intuit it. Mm-hmm. So I wasn't thinking like, I'm going to be that man from Australia.
Right.
But I think that like over the years, like I always liked to dress up and, it's sort of like, it kind of finds you because you go on stage and then you kind of start to see like, because I got all this great advice when I started out because I was, because that's what's great about being in a scene where there's other people doing what you're doing. You get to hear things and see what people are saying. And one person told me, she said, you should pay attention to what other people, what people find funny about you in conversation. And like I started like noticing that like when I wasn't trying to be funny, what people were laughing at. And it was always like sort of my delusions and pretensions. And, so I was like, oh, so like, and then when I'm on stage, I'm like, and then you try some of that stuff and people laugh even harder. And, so you kind of slowly start to experiment and see what people are laughing at. And I don't know, it's a very slow process.
Do you think
I don't think it's something you can like pick out.
Yeah.
Gotta bomb 100 times.
I don't think I've done that yet.
You're no good. I know I haven't either.
Yeah.
You got to be pretty bad.
Yeah, I know.
Well, see, but here's what happens. Like people like me and you who grew up on stage, we're already like kind of have a little bit of a head start because, a lot of comics, like they're like, it's taken them so much just to get up in front of people. Like, they're like awkward. Like clearly they're going to bomb a lot.
Yeah.
But like people who like grew up on stage.
Like little showboats.
Yeah. Like we already like. In some ways we have further to go, but in that way, just being on stage, it's very easy.
How did you start working in acting stuff? How did that happen?
That happened from stand-up.
Yeah.
And so then I started doing stand-up, and then all of a sudden, like, other stand-ups would start putting me in their stuff. Mm-hmm. And they'd come to watch me, and they'd bring people to watch me, and then all of a sudden I started to, like, get jobs from doing stand-up. That wasn't my intention. I was just doing it because I just thought it was a way to, like, express myself. Mm-hmm. And I missed performing, because I was a child actress and I always wanted
Where did you do acting when you were a kid?
In theater.
Oh, okay.
Like in regional theater. But I would like never go to school. Like I was always in plays, like professional level plays.
Right.
But it was like regional. So it was like half professional, half people like me.
Yeah.
But, I grew up on stage and I always wanted to be on stage. And so when you're like trying to get a commercial agent for 9 years, you're not, or you're like performing in some shitty play and on Failure Row that nobody comes to.
Yeah.
And, you're not really getting that feeling. So then all of a sudden you got that fix of being on stage and now people are laughing. Because I always knew people laughed at me. Like they would always laugh when I would do plays or even when I would raise my hand in class and ask something, like everyone would start laughing sometimes. And I'm like, why is everybody laughing? Like I was obnoxious. So it's like, I knew I liked laughs.
Right.
And I knew I got them, but just kind of having it all.
I can just picture you as a teenager being like, why are you guys laughing?
I was such a bitch.
Really?
Oh, God.
Why were you such a bitch?
Probably because I hated my life.
I feel like you're so nice though.
That's because I am a Buddhist.
Right.
I'm not, I don't say I'm a Buddhist, but that's because I've been meditating and like studying transcendental thought and peaceful, like spiritual, like self-help for probably like 20 years.
Yeah.
Like
I love self-help books.
Becoming
I'm super into it.
Extremely aware of my actions. And also I struggled so much that I think like if I would have got famous when I was young, which was what I thought was going to happen. Like I thought when I was 16, I sent Juilliard my picture and I thought they were going to let me in. That's how conceited I was. That's how like I had no idea how anything worked.
Right.
So I had like, not that was a big blow for me when they said no, but like, I mean, cause I actually flew there and auditioned. I flew to London, auditioned for RADA. Like I had a very inflated view of myself.
Yes.
And so then to be like poor and broke and unable to get a commercial agent. And I had someone in New York tell me I was too short to ever be an actress. And then I had like a mental breakdown.
The first agent I ever met with told me I was too tall to be an actress.
Oh, interesting.
I'm like, really? He's like, yeah, you're too tall. You're not pretty enough. I can only get you 5 auditions a year. And then he asked me to intern for him.
Was that in New York?
No, it was here in LA. I said no.
This guy told me that there's like, who did he say? Holly Hunter. She's the only short actress. That's what he was
What?
saying. I don't know.
Has he met all of them?
I know. And
because all of them are short.
I started hyperventilating on the phone and I thought I was going to die.
There's like 6 tall actresses. There really are. Everyone's short.
I know. That's what really sucks when you don't have parents in the entertainment industry or who understand anything savvy like that. You're doing it all on your own. So sometimes it takes longer.
Yeah.
You know, like I had no clue about anything.
Me neither.
So when I see people who are like 26 and making it, I'm like, good for you. Like, how did you figure it out? Like, I still thought like, I don't know how I thought things. I used to come up to women if I saw them on the street who were in soap operas and I'd be like, can I get my headshot to Young and the Restless? I had no idea. I was very tenacious, but I didn't understand.
You were tenacious in the wrong way.
I was not savvy.
Yeah.
I did not understand. So it took me a really long time.
Okay. I have 2 questions I always ask people who come on this podcast. One is, do you have any really bad audition stories? Because those are my favorite.
I remember one time I auditioned for a commercial. What did it say? And I saw they each had to have notes. Like I saw the back of I was a callback, and on the back of it just said, the notes were, wow, oh my God, and then yikes. And that's what the 3 different people thought of me.
Whoa. Oh my God.
So I think I was doing too much.
That is a mouthful though. Like,
but I did get called back.
Yeah.
But someone hated me
because of the wow
passion.
person. Okay. I have one more question.
I'm going up first tonight.
One more question that I always ask people. One more. God, you hate me right now. What advice would you give someone who's starting out today? I ask everyone who comes on here, so I have to.
Take Fountain.
Okay, Betty Davis.
Advice for what? As an actor?
Mm-hmm. No, as a stand-up or as an actor?
Well, I guess someone told me once, and I always stuck in my head, if you're talking about it, you're not doing it.
Yeah. Like us right now?
Well, I don't know. It has, I don't know exactly what the advice is, but it has something to do with working. Mm-hmm. And like just putting in the time and energy.
Okay, we'll do that, guys. Everybody work hard.
Oh, and another thing I read.
What?
All right, I'll tell you one more thing.
Okay.
When I went to do stand-up for the first time at the Comedy Store, Mitzi Shore has written down, because everyone gets 3 minutes, and she has written down at the booth when you sign up, it says, you don't have to be funny for 3 minutes, you just have to be yourself.
Oh, I like that. Oh, that's nice. Thanks,
now can we
Mitzi.
watch the debates?
Yes, we can.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone, for listening.
Bye, guys.
Now leaving Nerdist.com.